Mm. Hey, welcome to Kicking It with Yama. Welcome to Kicking It with Yama. Today's guest, well, tonight's guest is Vigilante. And I'm going to let him come on. And we going to have us a great time. Hey. Hey, Christina. Hey, Pooh Man. And we're going to have a great time. And we're going to get to know him. We're going to get to know each other by interacting in the comment section as well as on the actual. Oh, here he is now. Let me go ahead and invite him. And we're going to go ahead and get it started. All right. Look at him. He's ready. I sent the invite. Hi.
Okay, I'm doing the camera right now. 2 seconds.
Look, you like me. I'm trying to get it together too.
There we go.
This my second time. I'm trying to expand. You know how to expand? Because it's like half and half
It's half and half on my screen.
on both of our screen. Me either, because your box so small. I don't like that. It was like that with Bro Man on yesterday.
Um, I don't. It'll probably just be something that you have to work out in the post,
Yeah,
probably.
this is what I was trying to do before the show started because I didn't, you know, I didn't want that little box. I want my guests to feel just as important like I am of the show too.
You know what's dope is that you got that backdrop. So the whole time that I'm here, even for the people that can't see me because the box is small, they'll know that that's me right there.
Yeah, look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you. Looking all fly.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you for tuning in for day 2, kicking it with Yama, episode 2 rather, as well as day 2, kicking it with Yama, and I have a special guest tonight. I want him to go ahead and introduce him. You know what? No, I'm gonna introduce him because he's bomb. So he's a author. He's a Magul. He's a African prince. He's the most interviewed man in the world. He's an actor. He's a activist in everything plus more. So you guys, let's give it up for Vigilante. Woo! How you doing tonight?
No, I'm feeling good. I appreciate that intro. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's go ahead and get started. Vigilante, is that your actual name or is that something that you came up with?
Now, I wish that was my actual name. I came up with that probably the year after I graduated college. So probably like 2014, 2015.
Okay. And so first of all, let's tell the guests a little bit more about you. Let me give you the floor for a moment. It's echoing.
I can hear it good.
Oh, okay. I had somebody in the comments saying it's echoing. Hey, Nisha.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you good. But where do you want me to start as far as what I should tell them?
Just a little bit about you. Then we're gonna dive in. We're gonna coast in with the other questions that I have for you tonight. Okay, let's start with the questions. Let's just start with the questions. How
Okay.
did you get the name Vigilante?
Okay, so I was in a cabin. I was going to the Bahamas on a Carnival cruise, and I think that because I was going like across the sea, that we were getting different channels than we usually get in the States. So I was watching a show called Video Vigilante, and it was intriguing. I knew what a video was, but I didn't know what a vigilante was. I've heard the people say it, but I ain't never looked up the definition. So I looked up the definition, and it is a leader of a self-appointed group who takes matters into his own hands because he finds regular enforcement to be inadequate. So on the show, it's a white man walking around filming the police breaking the law. And I was just intrigued by this show and how I had never seen it before. So when I started looking up Vigilante, I started looking at the bad kind, the good kind, the neutral kind, the all of them. And my whole life, I feel like that I've broken rules for the greater good, and I've always went against the grain because I always saw that there was an issue that needed to be solved that nobody else wanted to speak about. So with all of that coming together, I was just like, man, this is the word that fully describes who I am. If a person ain't never met me, you can just say this one word and they will know enough about me to know whether they want to deal with me or not.
Wow. Okay, and it definitely does fit you. When I met you a few nights ago at the Honey Boss magazine party, reveal party, congratulations to you. You made the cover of that magazine along with 11 other men, successful men. How was that feeling? Let's go back to that night when you got that cover. When they revealed you on the cover of the magazine, you were so hyped. You were more hyped about the cake than the magazine. Did you ever get your piece of cake?
I never got the piece. I never even, after I said my speech, I never got to take 3 steps without somebody asking for a picture or like an autograph or just anything. I didn't even make it from this side of the room to this side of the room, and it was girls on the other side of the room that definitely wanted to have conversation, but they left before I even got a chance to get to them. So it was a beautiful night. I'll start right here with this on my wall. That's my first magazine cover that I ever did right there. And for the people who can see that, I did that back in 2019. And shout out to Dorito magazine. That was just a beautiful, beautiful time. I was just getting my lead roles. I went from background to day player to co-lead to lead on television to lead in big movies to people having to buy tickets to see me to people having to have a subscription. So it all just came together. And when I did the cover, I felt like that was the official stamp of, okay, now you here. When I got my blue check on Instagram, it was like, okay, now you here. And it all felt so good. I remember meeting the Honey Boss CEOs when I was filming for my guy Jay Amazing, and I did his podcast about a year ago. He asked me to come back as a dating expert, is what he calls me, and to go on his show. But it was 2 other guys on the show when I came in. They had a whole production, so I went into the dressing room, and that's where the 2 bosses was in there, and I didn't know them. So they were intrigued with my outfit, and they just started asking me questions, and I started asking them questions about their past marriages and relationships and stuff. And I think I asked one question in particular. I said, were you guys married Eurocentrically or Afrocentrically? Because we are melanated people. So if you're married Eurocentrically and you're not of Euro descent, I would expect for your union to fail because it's not even sanctioned by the ancestors. And when I said that, they were just like, you must be one of the experts on the show. And I was like, I don't know that if that's what he's calling me. And so they were like, you know what? We're doing this magazine, and we think that you might be the perfect person to be on the cover. And there's this other guy that came in earlier. We like him too. So I could see when they were talking to me that they were kind of like piecing it together. It wasn't a thing. And through my connections and through my I guess through my spirit, I kind of lend the world my energy so that they can do the things that they thinking about and put it into fruition. So when they were saying at the magazine cover thing that I was like the reason, in that was a lot of praise. I appreciate them for that, but I definitely got to give them way more credit for the idea. I was just a little disappointed with the fact that when I showed up, everybody had on Eurocentric suits and ties that come from King Louis and King Charles from Europe. And our cover is Black Kings. When I think of Black Kings, I think of Ramses. I think of Mansa Musa. I think of Shaka Zulu. I think of King Tut. Those are the Black Kings that I know. I don't look at King Charles as a Black King. I don't look at King Louis as a Black King, or Arthur, or what's his name, Alexander the Great or Napoleon. I don't look at them like that. None of the presidents that we've had, except for with the exception of Obama, and so I just wanted for my speech to be organic. I didn't want to offend anybody because we do come from a very sensitive culture and climate. And I just wanted to be the connector between the motherland and America through this move that I was making, and also through expanding pop culture from here all the way to there.
Oh, wow. That is powerful. So when I was interacting with you, you said, what did you tell me? You was like, oh, where are you from? And I told you like, no, no, no. Where are you really from? And then that's when you told me about the DNA, the ancestry DNA. Um, after you said it was an African one, right? And then I
African
was like, I
ancestry,
thought it was
yes.
more than one ancestry DNA test, but you were like, no, it's an African one as well. So can you tell me about that conversation and enlighten everybody about where you're from originally?
Yeah, so right up on that wall, I got my African ancestry results from my mom's side, and on it it says Mende Timni from Sierra Leone. So that's two separate tribes, brother and sister tribes, and then Balanta from Guinea-Bissau and Kru people from Liberia, and then on my dad's side, Balanta and Fulani from Guinea-Bissau, and then my Adasamo. So with African ancestry, it's XY chromosome. So if you're a woman, you can only take one test because you guys only have an X chromosome and you don't have a Y chromosome.
Right.
So you can do your matriclan, which is your mom, that whole line. So when you do your test, every female on that side, it works for them. And then if you have a daughter, that's her too. So your son, uncle, dad's brother, all of that stuff would have to do the other one for you. And then you'll figure out both sides. So with my Adasamo, that's like 23 in me. That means that my 23 chromosomes in my body all together in one salad. What does that go back to? And that goes back to Ibu of Nigeria. So when you see me with the Isiagu on, that's the highest level of fabric that you can have on the cover with the elephant tusk, the hand fan, the walking stick. I'm sure people be seeing it all over TikTok, the trendy stuff. And for the people that watch Power, when the spinoff where Dre was going to marry the British speaking girl and they were throwing money at the wedding. That was an Igbo wedding. That was an Igbo tradition. So even though she speaks in that British accent, it's because the UK and Africa is like right there. The same way that Idris Alba is from Sierra Leone, but he speaks with that British accent because of colonization. Whenever you meet an African person and they speak another language besides their native tongue, that tells you who they were colonized by, because that becomes the first language. So with all of those DNA results, I was able to land a, what would I call it? I became the head of marketing for Stafford Lodge Hotel in Sierra Leone before I ever even stepped foot on the continent. And they offered me like a 2-year, 3-year residency there while I purchased my land and built my home. So everything I should have did 10 years ago. And so the owner of the Salon Hidden Gems in Stafford Lodge, she gave me that shirt that you guys see in the back, and I knew that when I was gonna do this, that I wanted to do it where I had all eyes on it. So an older woman in Sierra Leone handmade that herself, and I got in contact with her a couple of days ago. And when I got in contact with her, I was like, I got one of your pieces. And she was like, a lot of people have my pieces, and I understand where that energy comes from because I'm black from America. So there's really no connection that we have outside of me making the connection with you. So once I sent her the photos, energy switched completely. And she understood that I was serious about not just being a black guy, but being a Sierra Leonean who exists within the American diaspora, which is two different things. So we got to talking, and she started talking to me in the Creole language, and I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "This means you're officially a Creole man." So she kind of ushered me in and gave me her blessing to wear her clothing, and she said, "Tell me when your next thing is that you have. I will make you more stuff." Because as she continues to make me more stuff, I'm gonna continue to represent it on the MTV carpet, the BET carpet, and the Breakfast Club, Sway, Ebro, No Jumper, Vlad, etc., and continue to push it to the highest level, because those are the victories. If you're a black man and somebody says we got to dress up for an event, and the first thing that you think of is a button down and a jacket and a tie and a bow tie, you have been colonized to the max. What you should be thinking about is that that you see right behind you. That is an African dress shirt. If you think of being a black king, and the first thing that you think about is Charles and Louis, and you don't think about Mansa Musa and King Tut, you are colonized. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way to be like, you're colonized, you're colonized. I'm saying it to be like, wake up. I want you to have this level of enlightenment as well. And this is also how we connect back to the continent, because we cannot have any strength as black people worldwide until the continent is strong, because that's our hub that we pull from. So my disappointment comes in with things like Jamaica just had a terrible storm, right?
Right.
People got to Jamaica and Haiti by way of the transatlantic slave trade. The only people that are indigenous to Haiti and Jamaica are the Tainos that Christopher Columbus met when he went down to the Caribbean, not to America. So if they got down there through the slave trade, that means that most of them are West African. But they grow up in the Caribbean, so then they just adapt to being a variant of being called Jamaican, Haitian. But really you're Haitian by way of West Africa, Jamaican by way of West Africa. So my thing is, if 54 countries in one continent have brothers and sisters that are about to be suffering because of a storm, why are you not offering them refuge and saying, we see what you're about to go through. Right. We love you. You are us. Come over here. Come buy some land. Come get a house. Even if you just want to stay in asylum until the storm blows over and you want to move back, at least know that I'm acknowledging you.
Do you think that that's really realistic in today's America, on how everything is going right now, when we in the middle of a recession and a government shutdown, and they cutting off of food stamps and other things that usually help, the Americans? But the I mean, what you stated was true, absolutely true. I mean, if you love us the way that you do, then why won't you help us? But when you got situations where we're right now, the ones that are actually living in America, we're not even getting the help that we supposed to get. Rent is inflated. Groceries are inflated. You can't even survive. You can barely survive off a two income household. So how is your expectation gonna become a realistic aspect when it's like, okay, this is where we as Americans, we're here now, and you're talking about somebody that's over the country, and and other countries trying to, them Americans trying to, with the government, the higher power is trying to, like, okay, we're gonna go over here and extend this olive branch or whatever the case may be, because XYZ. So how do you feel like that's gonna work when we here now in America, and we're not even getting the help that we supposed to get?
Got you. Okay, so I'm about to answer that in a couple layers.
Okay.
The first layer I'm gonna say is, you see how when I was talking about Jamaica, that's way down here. For those who don't know, that's listening right now, Jamaica is like way down here. America is like way up here. Jamaica is way down here. Africa, like way over here. So that conversation that they were having with each other, Jamaica to Africa, Africa to Jamaica, that's their business. If America butts his head in it, then be prepared to have their neck cut off for butting their head where it don't need to go. This is brothers and sisters talking to each other. This is a family conversation.
Right.
So what we have to get used to doing as black people is letting people in America know that we have family conversations. And if you're not a part of this family, butt out of it. So that's the type of strength that our black women haven't seen exhibited from our black men in years. Years. We forget that before slavery, nobody asked anybody to come over and take us on a ship. We were living happily ever after in our villages with our women that were multiple wives to our men that were raising the children and going out and doing what they were doing. We had society. We had our society. So what happened with America? Because we're going to start from the top.
Okay.
Georgia. Georgia was discovered because people started going in debt in Europe, and they would put them in jail for being in debt. James Oglethorpe, you probably seen his university driving through the streets. James Oglethorpe decided that we're going to start fresh, and they gave him a colony in America. And what was that colony called?
You asking me or you asking the?
What was that colony called?
I don't know. What is it called?
Georgia.
Georgia.
Georgia is named after King George. So who gave James Oglethorpe that colony?
We did.
No,
King
George did. King George gave James Oglethorpe something that belonged to the Native Americans because who was already here?
Indians.
Well, the Indians are in India.
Right.
The Native Americans were already here.
Right.
So this is all of this is the Native Americans' land. Every bit of it. We don't have no right to none of this. This is all the Native Americans' land. The 13 colonies that came here, Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, that's named after King Charles. Maryland is named after Queen Mary, the Virgin Mary, Virginia, the Duke of York, New York, Williams, Pennsylvania. All of this is stolen.
Right.
When it was the 13 colonies, that was them transitioning from the people that were in debt, starting to come over here so they can have a new start at life. But they said, instead of integrating, we're just going to take it from them. They don't have guns. They don't have modern technology. They don't have boats. Only thing they have is feathers on their hat and some chants that they do to the gods. And we're going to push them over to Arizona, California, Oregon, and give them reserves over there. That's why they have the Trail of Tears. So what got caught in the crossfire of that is the slave trade. Because when the white people got here and they got established, because the Portuguese, the Russians, the Spaniards, all of them used to fight amongst each other. But they found a way to get along because they seen these melanated people that were in Africa that were feuding with each other from tribalism. And they used that against them to have their enemies sell their prisoners into slavery. So if I got beef with you and you a neighboring tribe to me and I want you gone, I'm going to just sell you to them. Right. Where they take you after that, I don't care. So this whole system of debt, because back then it was just debt over there. Now, George Washington is on our dollar bill, right? Mm-hmm. George Washington was in the British Army. George Washington became the first president because when the British started having problem with the British that moved to America, there's no such thing as an American. The Americans are British that floated down to America and said, we're no longer going to call ourselves British. So we're going to call ourselves Americans. So then they formed the United States of America before there was ever a United States. It was just 13 colonies. And then who became the first president of that? George Washington. He never even had a formal election. He was the war hero against the British. Right. So there was no independence. Black people got caught in that via slave trade.
It's okay. And so, like, when it comes down to you speaking about, of course, we're speaking about leadership and everything. When it comes down to that, like, let's, when it comes down to that, how do you feel about today's when it comes down to the young boys growing up without a father, their father either going to jail or the music, um, pretty much raising them and guiding them. Now the women, it's like the women switch roles from the men. So it's like the women are more masculine and the men are more feminine, and they're operating on their feminism because the men don't know how to be men when it comes down to being a leader. You know, a man's supposed to be a leader, protector, and etc. But how do you feel about that?
So I'm not a big fan of being in games that I know that I have no opportunity to win in.
Okay.
The moment that African people stepped foot in America, we were doomed from the beginning. There are different tribes that when they gained their freedom in America, they did the smart thing and they went back. But there are people who said, I'm gonna just consider myself to be a black American, whatever the hell that is, and I'm gonna just be here. Every single president that we've ever had, with the exception of Obama, has been British, Portuguese, or of some type of European descent, yet we're on Native Americans' land. What does that tell you about what's currently happening right now?
Yeah, we're controlled, that we're brainwashed.
So, therefore, our men don't have any opportunity to be masculine on another man's land. And our women don't have any opportunity to be feminine on another man's land. Because what we forget is when we were being indoctrinated into slavery, when the men were being beat and hung and shot and our women were being raped, we had to watch that happen to each other. So we built an eternal trauma for each other that has never went away since then. And the first time that I seen an opportunity for us to exit out of what's going on was the first time that I had a conversation with, when my Ebu results came back, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she seen me. I posted a picture on my Instagram of me playing pool, and her conversation to me was, "Oh, you like to play pool? Um, is that something that you look for in a wife, for her to know how to play pool?" And that was the first time in 30 years that I ever heard a woman ask what it was that I was looking for in my wife, that I wanted of her. And that same woman, I asked her if polygamy was still legal in Nigeria, and she did something that I've never seen any of our American women do. She took herself out of herself, explained polygamy from both sides, Manu and Poly, and then I asked her, okay, now let's talk about you. Would you be willing to do it? And then she brought herself back into the conversation, and then she talked about it from her point of view. I don't know too many African American women where you can ask them a question and they'll take themselves out of the conversation, out of being first person, for them to speak objectively and subjectively. And I realized that that level of femininity that she had spreads across the continent. And the reason that they have it is because they grow up with so many morals, traditions, values, tribes, family settings. And everything about us in America is money, get some money, go get some more money. You better have that money. And if the money ain't right, ain't nothing right. So we don't even get the opportunity to have morals, family, value, any of that. And
Wow.
every single time that we try to champion our black women, I and I want to say this before I say what I'm about to say next, that our black women on the continent, outside of the continent, and in the entire diaspora are the most beautiful women in the entire world, inside and out. So I don't want anybody to take anything that I'm saying harshly. I have to have this conversation with my women because this pigment, I'm qualified to do so. And no other diaspora is qualified to talk about our women the way that I'm going to do it. So when Kamala Harris was elected to run against Trump, the first thing that she did was got Megan Thee Stallion to twerk for black women's votes. I didn't see not one single woman outside marching for her right to not be viewed in the mainstream media as nothing more than a pop culture, clout chasing, thirsty, twerking girl. The only time that I've seen black women outside marching is when they took you guys' abortions away. And I think that our black women have to hold themselves accountable for what they've allowed themselves to turn into before we can move forward as a unit. As for our men, we watched the mass incarceration, the Jim Crow, the segregation, the lynchings, the police shootings. We don't even really have to have a conversation with how bad it is to have male genitals and walk around in the United States of America at any point. The police force are still lying to this very day about going from being slave catchers to the police force. And you can Google it right now. Did slave catchers turn into the police force? And it will say yes on the first page. And they're still lying about it to this very day.
Yeah.
So I see what's going on with us as far as our diaspora and as far as our motherland. And I've come to the conclusion that we've had great leaders in the past. We've had very inspirational people, but what we did not have was an actionable cast of people that were behind the people who kept the movements going so that we can get where we needed to be. So when Martin Luther King died, there was a 1 million man march that he had before he passed. And you're telling me that all 1 million of those people couldn't put together $5 a piece so that they could buy the land as a unit here so that we can own it, or take that same money and all catch a plane or a boat or a trolley or something to go back to the motherland, but they could all march together and then have that be a dead message when one person passes away.
So how do you feel like you're gonna be able to change that? Because one man can't change the aspect of how Because do you feel like they're too far gone? We're too far gone. The men are too far gone. The blacks are too far gone. Like, how do you feel about that being in that aspect? How do you feel when it comes down to, like, okay, the brainwashing and the control and, like, do you feel like let's take Kanye West. They said they tried to shut Kanye West up because of the industry and things that he know within the industry. What do you think about that? Do you feel like he's just medicated? They heavily well, I'm not gonna say medicated, but do you think that he's just like being controlled by the industry, or do you feel like it's more so of like a act, or what is your intake when it comes down to that example of a black man being under control or not under control, or
And
acting?
huge Kanye West fan. And genius, absolute genius. Everything that he says is not correct, but Kanye is one of those people. I credit myself because I grew up with 5 sisters. So I learned how to communicate with people effectively. And Kanye is one of those people where he just don't like to be cut off. Like, let him get his thought out. It don't matter if you agree or disagree. Just let him get his thought out. And never denounce him. Don't go into the public and be like, oh man, that nigga tripping. Like, just, hey, do you agree with what he's saying? Hey man, those are his thoughts. Leave it at that. So Kanye went from being broke to signed to telling the rest of the world, hey, listen, y'all see that I'm owned, but I'm in debt. He said it in so many songs. And then when he finally got out of debt, he like, listen, I can't be controlled now, and I can say what I want to say. So now I think that that's the important time for us to listen up and hear what it is that he has to say, agree or disagree. I feel that way about any powerful man, whether it would have been Andrew Tate, whether it's Fresh and Fit, whether it's Kevin Samuels, whether it's Gandhi, whether it's Malcolm X, whether it's Martin, whether it's me, whoever it is. especially if they're powerful men. Nick Cannon, David Banner, whoever, Charlemagne the God, Envy, whatever they got to say, let them get their thought out. And don't dismiss them for whatever it is that they got to say. Kanye, to me, is a man that's looking for a home. The most calm that we've ever seen Kanye is when he was, I'm not giving Kim credit. I'm saying that this is the timeline. So this has nothing to do with her. But during the timeline that he became a father, that was the most calm Kanye that we've ever seen, is when he was married with his children. And a man like Kanye, when he doesn't have anything to live for, he doesn't have any reason to tone what he's doing down. We just seen the Gucci Man interview with his wife, the most calm Gucci that we've ever seen. When a man is looking for a home and his home is unstable, which when all you know is the United States of America and all 50 of these states become your home, and you never visit Ghana or Sierra Leone or Egypt, or you never go where people look like you and give you fair opportunity, no matter how much money you get, then you always are searching for something. And when you're searching for something, some people do something that Kanye does and that Gucci used to do called lashing out. And lashing out is a very, no offense to these guys that I'm saying, no offense, it's a very feminine trait, but it is a trait that does exist within certain men when they don't feel that what they're doing is being heard. You ever been in a discussion with a man and then you tried to talk when he was talking, and then he decided, I'm gonna get louder. Matter of fact, I'm gonna stand up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start going like this. Like, all of that stuff is to assert a level of dominance. But when you already understand that the message that you have is not something that you're trying to push onto people, but that you're trying to have a conversation to get to a higher place as a collective, then you more receptive to hearing what everybody else got to say, because your ideas blended with their ideas can be what it is that gets you to the promised land.
So when we're talking about black people sticking together, now I'm not targeting black men. I have a black son, and he's gonna be off in the world pretty soon when it comes down to like figuring out things and becoming a man in his identity. But when we're talking about that, when it's time for us to sit together, especially let's do police brutality. When it's time for us to sit together, that lasts for only what, few days, few weeks, and whatnot, and then we go back to like, okay, it's the same solution. They shoot, they get killed, the family grieve, the family sue, and then after that, people march. After that, now everything starts to calm down, and then it goes back to normal. Okay, let's brush this up on it, and then the family, then the only solution that they have left is, okay, the family settle out or got this big lump sum of money. So when does it stop? When do you think that it's gonna stop? Because how do you know? How do you think that it's gonna stop when everybody is not on the same page, and you basically saying like people are brainwashed as far as like African Americans?
There is no such thing as it stopping. With me, I was raised in a very rough place. I was born in Flint, Michigan, and I was raised in Benton Harbor, Michigan. So I don't know how censored I got to be on this interview, but I've never been good at being called a BAN word to my face or a P word to my face, because I've been raised around people that take things everywhere where it needs to go, for those who picking up what I'm saying. So I've never been cool with that to my own people, and I've never been cool with that to other people. So if you're a police officer and you do something that you're not supposed to do, and a judge lets you get off, a jury lets you get off, the public lets you get off, the news lets you get off, everybody lets you get off, you have directly just said to me how you feel about me and how you feel about my people. So I'm not about to march. I'm not about to hold up no signs. I'm not about to fight against you. I'm about to get the hell up out of there, because I understand how you feel already. And me marching and me trying to fight for something that you clearly don't want me to have can be your excuse for you to say that I'm being a radicalist or a troublemaker or a vigilante. And that can be your excuse for you to let off fire. Every time that black people march in the street, instead of people trying to hear what we have to say, all they do is just align the SWAT right in front of us with their shields, with their guns that's right behind them. So I don't think that that's the smartest thing for people to do. And I think that people are actually more woke than what they give themselves credit for, because a lot of our black men, no matter how tough they come off to be, are very nerdy and very intellectual and have passions in different areas and different talents in different areas. But what it is that they haven't been around enough people to help them wholeheartedly shift their mind. This is where my disappointment with Malcolm X and Martin comes, because Malcolm had all the Muslims, Martin had all the Christians, and they took that and they fought in front of the white media. They had it and then they let it go. Do you know how hard it is to get 1 million people to march with you in the street
Yeah.
and to get them to listen to your speech that's still legendary to this very day?
Yeah, but it's legendary, but it's not respected to this day. That's crazy, though. It's definitely not respected to this day because I've seen, I don't know how true and how credible the forces are when it comes down to him taking down the person that's in the White House, is taking down a lot of the Martin Luther King and, trying to pretty much erase Black history overall. And
That's
so,
what he's supposed to do. That's his job. I'm not mad at him for that. If I'm an old white man named Billy, I gotta act like I'm an old white man named Billy. That's my job. And that's a part of the reason why I don't like the housing market. Let me give you an example. I have a friend and she was in the military and
mhm.
she was able to build up a nice little, in her savings. And then she still works. So she, what I'm saying, she doing her thing. And her family member who had 3 kids by 3 different people is struggling back home. And so she had the opportunity to tell her sister, if I relocate you to this place over here or over here, whether it be on the continent, whether it be in the Bahamas, whether it be wherever, because clearly if your situation is suffering, it's going wrong where you are. So it's time for some type of change. And you could tell her that if you move to Sierra Leone, I'm just using it as an example because I know a lot about it. If you move to Sierra Leone, your phone bill is only $10 a month. You can tell her if she wants to buy land that's only $1,000, $100 for people to clear it, $100 for her to get it registered, um, another $100 to get it surveyed so she can have the documentation. You can tell her that her car insurance is only going to be $60 for the entire year. You can tell her that a new car over there is only $300. You can tell her that her rent is only going to be $100 to $200 to $300 a month. You can tell her that. You can give her that information regardless of whether she's going to do it or not. But instead of doing that, she decided to not talk about the 3 fathers that are not present, to not talk about the opportunity for her to relocate, but just give her the money, 5 figures, so that she can be indoctrinated right back into the same situation that she was struggling in. So now she didn't spend all her money. You didn't gave her all your money. Now your sister has become a glorified middleman for a white man named Billy who owns the house that she's in, that she's renting. And now you done sent his family to a Disney vacation for the rest of the year with your money that you got from the military.
Hmm.
But I
Speak.
couldn't I couldn't have that conversation with her because she wasn't ready to hear that. All she heard was, okay, so you talking down on me. Okay, so you talking down on my sister. Okay, so you talk. When you're ready to have this conversation as the grown adult that you feel that you are, then we can do that. And to answer your other question about leadership, it's about opening the floor for these conversations to happen and realizing who's ready to hear the real shit and who's not.
So speaking of that, let's go ahead and open up the floor for some questions, some Q&As, because I'm sure I see Kendra. Hey, Alfonso, thank you so much for the gift. Thank you guys for checking in. This is a deep, great conversation, you guys. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, you guys. So if anybody have any questions for Vigilante, let us know, and he'll be glad to answer them. So while we're waiting on these questions, we're going to continue because this is getting good, you guys, and I am really enjoying this live. So I know that
You
in
mind if I say one more thing on that last part?
yes,
Okay, so the last thing that I'm gonna say is for as much as this individual claims that she loves her nieces and her nephews, if her niece grows up and she doesn't know who Queen Sheba is, but she knows who Donald Trump is, it's her fault.
I hope she on here. I hope she online. I hope she's on. I hope she's looking, and y'all can have that conversation because, yeah, that is some deep stuff right there. And you're exactly right. Like, I mean, a lot of us are, like, I ain't gonna say uneducated because we're not, but I mean, we're not as woke as we supposed to be. And I would say America has handicapped us in a way to where it's like, okay, yeah, now you have to do your own self education. You have to do your own, background check. And like you said, like, we don't know the type of power that we hold as Black people. If we become united and we really stick together, we're way more powerful than anything. And that's what people don't understand when it comes down to the power of our color itself. A lot of mimics is going on, the braids, the weaves, the eyelash, everything, the talent itself, is always a duplicate from another type of, and I'm not racist, I'm not a colorism or anything like that, but I'm just speaking, from my point of view. We do have a question is, what type of woman are you looking for? And are you even single before even asking that?
Yes, I am single, and I think the type of woman I'm looking for is a 1% woman. It is absolutely a woman who knows herself. I would prefer to have a woman who is more comfortable with her natural hair than she is any type of enhancement. A woman who is comfortable with her natural aesthetic, makeup wise, than any enhancement. A woman who I love a gym, what they call them now, a gym bae. That's what they call them. I don't like women who are attention seeking on social media. I don't like women who want sexual attention over relationship attention. I'm not a fan of that. I love women who are sexy on accident. Women who are just doing them, and it just is sexy just to see her doing her. I love women who are tapped in. Like if I love women who can time travel through their fashion. Like one day I see her and she dressed like TLC. The next day I see her, she dressed like Aaliyah. The next day I see her, she got on like a Sierra type of jersey with some baggy jeans. And then the next day I see her, she got on a pencil skirt with a like just crazy variety. And then if we go anywhere, then she, of course, she has on her Afrocentric garment. Knowing where she's from would definitely be a plus. There's always this battle of people asking, am I going to get something that's homegrown, meaning directly from the continent, or am I going to take something over there with me? I don't have no picks. I know that from the work that I've done in my life, I'm going to always be the most eligible bachelor in the world for this timeline. And then the next timeline, they can have it. And then the next timeline, they can have it. But for this timeline, I got it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm looking for a woman with a high level of understanding because I'm taking my life, my accomplishments, and everything to a whole nother place so that I can start over. I'm building panels and digging wells, and I'm giving villages electricity. And I know that a lot of women have never been in a position to support a man who's ever had this type of vision and fortitude. So a lot of them wouldn't even know what it looks like. But if you have the understanding and the humility to come into the situation wanting to serve and to push your feminine essence out to the universe and affect people in a positive way, then I don't see any reason why you wouldn't fit the mold.
You heard that? You heard that, Miss Kendra? So, do you often support Black businesses?
Yes. The beads that you see around my neck in that photo, the longer white ones, were actually made by a woman who is friends with another woman. So it's two women that are in Nigeria. One is in medical school. The other one hand makes the beads that you guys see on my neck. So when the one who's in medical school hit me up and asked me if I can help with her tuition, then I gave her the money to give to the girl who makes the beads, and then she shipped the beads to me, and then I helped keep her in college. And what I did for the other friend who makes the beads is I hooked her up with a woman who has an Afrocentric shop here, who was getting her stuff third party from other drop shipping sources. And I said, you don't have to do that. I can get you somebody that could just hand make it and send it directly to you from the continent. And then I started that ecosystem. And I said, whatever you buy from them, I'll buy it from you. That'll go to her to keep her in school. That'll keep her supplies going and give her ROI. And then that ecosystem will just keep going.
Okay. Okay. So you guys can do is that support black businesses, and this right here, this is what you had, the little white thing in your hand. What is that? You
The
had it
elephant
that
tusk.
night
Yeah.
that we met.
The elephant tusk.
Yes.
So it was a symbol of authority.
Okay.
Hmm.
For the tribe that you was in or that you're
Across,
in.
yeah, across the continent as a whole, a lot of people use the same stuff all over the continent, but they just repurpose it for different reasons. But yeah, it's a sign of authority all over the continent.
Okay. Is there a meaning behind your wardrobe? Somebody asked that in the comment section.
Yeah, so I wanted to make a statement. I wanted to let the woman who lives in the village that made that shirt handmade, who had no idea that I was going to have it, let her know that I wanted to put it on a red carpet and showcase it on the highest level. My goal when I go back to the continent is to empower every single person who has a talent, and to hone in on the other people who haven't realized what their talent is and pull it out of them. We're going to create a lot of different media. We're going to create a lot of different ball players, baseball, basketball, football. We have leagues over there, and now I'm going to shine a light on those leagues and show them how dope it is to sit courtside and help them fill the arena, so we can do the same thing that we're doing in the NBA over there. Um, Pretty much, I'm gonna shine all of my light onto the continent and give everything over there the same meaning that I gave to this outfit to the entire continent.
Somebody said this. Alfonso said that's dope, and he really enjoyed. He really loving this live right now. Somebody said, "What do you do when you're not working?"
I turn my life into a passion project, so I don't even look at what I do as work. Like, a person gifting me something as beautiful as that, and me being able to put those women in position, and then to be able to put it on that same shirt, and to turn all of that into a magazine feature. I just look at it like my lifestyle. This is just life as a whole for me. And I'm never not living my life to the fullest. So I know there's an American way that we be like, I'm working, I'm grinding, I'm getting it in. To me, I don't never look at it like that. I'm living out my purpose, and I'm just being a vessel.
Okay. And how do you prepare mentally before you step into something new, like a new role, a new project? Yeah.
It really depends on what it is. It really depends on what it is. I had to really prepare myself when I saw the dress code for this magazine cover, and it almost didn't happen. I almost didn't end up on the cover,
Because of
because
what you're doing, that
because of,
shirt.
yeah, not for me wearing the shirt, but because I disagree with what the dress code was initially before I ever even brought the shirt to the forefront. Because really, I wanted to wear that shirt. But when they came with the all black wardrobe, I said that's not gonna fit. I have to wear my black Iziagu shirt that fits the wardrobe. But it really didn't. But it did.
But it
And I
didn't.
knew that when I showed up there, it was going to be a determining factor of whether or not they were going to allow me to shoot or not. But I knew what that meant to the tribes that I come from and the stance that I was going to make. So it almost didn't happen. So I just have to mentally prepare myself that everybody would love to be with somebody that's just easygoing all the time. And that's just not me. As you can see, I'm a very pleasant person to be around, but I'm also a no nonsense type of guy. And so, sometimes that can ruffle a couple of feathers, but it's okay because it's necessary.
Right. Hold on for a second, y'all. I don't know. TikTok said I had to verify, so it won't end in 4 minutes. Hold on. Let me see.
If it does end in 4 minutes, then I ain't got no problem with us coming back and doing a part two in like
Okay.
5-10 minutes if you want to.
Okay. Okay. Somebody said, "What's a typical day for you?" Kendra said that. She's
Uh,
very intrigued with your mind and your day to day.
it really depends on the day. All of my days are different. I go to the gym. This is what I will say. Instead of giving her my typical day now, I'm gonna give her what I want my typical day to be when I get to see her early on.
Okay.
So I'm going to be living on the top floor of the Stafford Lodge Hotel for the next 2 to 3 years. So what I want my typical day to be is that I wake up in the morning. Of course, I shower, do my facial routine, go to the gym that's downstairs, and then go eat breakfast. And then I go back into my room and do my collaborations. Every day, different websites send me about 100 to 200 collaborations that they're pitching to me that they want me to be a part of their brand, and I let them know how we can make that make sense. And then after I do that, I go outside and I film content of the entire Sierra Leone, and I showcase that to people. So let's say a keke, which is like a three-wheel car that you can get into like a taxi for like $1 that takes you all the way from over here to all the way over there for people who don't want to drive. And I show them what it is, show them my experience, have a mini interview with the driver, and then that'll go on my YouTube where of course I get paid for that, and of course for my collaborations, and then for everything else that I do. And then I would love to put that on autopilot every single day. And I would love to meet with the political figures of Sierra Leone and let them know that I'm here to help with the infrastructure. Let's say that the KK hits a pothole and I'm like, yo, we need to do something about this pothole. I can call up this person in the community and say, yo, da 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 da. Oh, well, I ain't got the money for that. Okay, well, I do. Okay, so let's call this person so that we can do this. All right, let's get this done. Okay, so now this person then got a job. This pothole is fixed because it's our job to fix our problems.
Right.
So I'm looking to do that every single day. There's a guy in Ghana. His name is I think his name is Bowden, and he has a plastic recycling company where he turns the plastic recycling into affordable homes in Ghana. So he doesn't have a Sierra Leone branch, so I can be a part of his Sierra and help start his Sierra Leone branch and help everybody say, yo, in the whole country, bring your plastic here, and then we'll ship the plastic there so that we can then get the houses built here.
Okay. So when it comes down to you, what do you let me ask you this. When did you know that you had your first when did you know that you had your first big break? Like, okay, I'm on the right path. This is confirmation. How did you know that?
So I remember when I got my very first lead role on TV, it was For My Man. And I don't know why that is, but the women in America love watching true crime shows. They love it. And so that tapped me into a whole different fan base. And I remember I was with somebody at that time. I'm living with my mom. I got a very short amount of money to my name. I had a Prius. The brakes on my Prius went out, so I had to pay $400 for a rental at Hertz, and then I had to drive from Atlanta to Kentucky, which is like 2-3 hours, to go film with For My Man. They put me in a hotel for 3-4 days because I had to film for 4 days, and then when I got to set, the night before, my girl called me and she had just got kicked out of her aunt's house. So literally everything that could possibly be going wrong is going wrong. And I'm in the hotel room and I just cut my phone off and I just hone in on the For My Man episodes because I had never seen the show before. And the next day, I pull up to the set, and about 2 hours into it, I'm on a golf cart and I'm about to go grab some food, and a person goes, "Is Remarcus over there?" "Yeah, he's over here. He's just about to grab some food right quick, and then he'll be right over there." And that was the moment that I knew that this is what I wanted to do. Because now I have worked my butt off from background to day player to feature to co-lead to lead to lead on national television. And a couple months later, I got a text from my cousin as I was filming another episode of For My Man. And my cousin said, "You're on TV right now." So I'm putting the key in the hotel door as I'm checking the text. Put it in, open the door, turn it on TV1. I'm right there on TV1. And there's no words that can be used to describe how that feels to be on national television and be watching yourself when you know that the rest of the world is watching you too. That's when I knew.
Kendra said, "What do you feel is the best contribution you've ever given to your community?"
It's always going to be my presence. I feel like I'm always loaning energy to everybody else in a good way. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of ideas that they want to do, but they have so much self doubt. They talk themselves out of great ideas. They just talk down to themselves so much, and there's so much opportunity out there for people. One thing that I can't stand is, and shout out to my black queens. I'm gonna say this to y'all is, I can't stand it when a bunch of women would get together to go on a girls trip and they.
Wow. Your phone, something happened. I don't know what
That's okay. I'm back. They
Okay.
would spend so much money to go on a girls trip. I'm talking 4,000, 5,000 a piece for absolutely positively nothing, to hold up a half drinking pineapple with a straw on it and yell out "Woo!" so that they can have a caption at the top that reads, "I'm in Dubai," or "I'm in Santa Fe," or "I'm in Jamaica," which has absolutely nothing to do with the forwarding of us as people. But whenever you talk about relocating so that you can permanently live that lifestyle in Jamaica, in Haiti, in any of the countries that you come from, absolutely mute. And to me, that is hustling backwards at its finest. Because whenever these girl trips are had, the person who has the airplane company, they got paid. The person who has the hotel, they got paid. The person who owns the Uber company, they got paid. The person who owns the swimsuit company, they got paid. The people who own the suitcase company, they got paid. The only person that didn't get paid was you. The only person whose life that didn't change was you. The only person that's more in debt and don't have the money that they had to begin with is you. But all you got to show for it is some Instagram pictures and some photos.
Mm. They loving this. They loving this here live. I tell you that much because Kendra said, "Good answer. Come through." UNG Prince. I don't know. Alfonso is like he put the microphones down and he's like, "Yeah, speak that." So he's really about this live. He's really loving this live. So that's the thing. What was the hardest no that you had to turn into a yes?
I feel like I get them. I get them on a consistent basis. Um, um, Probably the hardest no that I've gotten that I had to turn into a yes was when I really decided that I was going to leave officially. When I first got my results, I didn't. It wasn't that I didn't want to leave. It was that I wasn't sold on the idea of what it'd look like for me to fully not be in America anymore. And what I couldn't understand when I told my mom and when I told other people is they would always ask me, "So when are you going to come back?" And I'm trying to figure out, if I just left the plantation, why are you asking me when I'm going to come back to the plantation? But they're not looking at it like a plantation. They're looking at it as the only place that they know that they call home. So it was a no that was within myself that I had to turn into a yes for myself. And somebody else asked me, "So what would you do if your American citizenship got revoked?" I said, if my American citizenship gets revoked, not only do I turn into the most popular man in the world because I'm not allowed to come to the United States, which is headlines everywhere, but then I also make a huge statement that I don't need the place that people would consider to be the only home that I know. What I try to figure out all the time is, if Africa is doing so bad, why are those beautiful women always looking so fly every time that I see them on social media? If they're doing so bad, where are they sleeping? What are they driving? Where are they working? How does this person have a phone? Where is this electricity coming from? What about that water? Somebody is doing okay, and somebody is lying to somebody else about how okay somebody else is doing. So I had to tell myself that not only do I want to go over there and visit, but I want to leave fully. And I feel like that, going back to what you said earlier about how our black man kind of got caught in a trap, sometimes you got to rehabilitate yourself so that you can make sure that you don't self-destruct. And in America, they put you in a working rut to where you will work a job, and then you'll get a car note that you can't afford, and paying rent that you can't afford, and car insurance, phone bill, light bill, gas bill, water bill, clothes, food, and then if you have kids, etc. And then you'll end up getting two jobs. So now you can't even see your family, and you still barely making ends meet. And then instead of them being loving to your situation, they'll just tell you, grind harder, work more hours, and even pick up a third job. There's no win, because if you take that third job, the only thing that's going to come after that is either death, a coma, or a fourth job. So the only way that I was able to save myself was to let myself know that it's okay for me to start all the way over, even though I have all of this great success. It is 100% okay. As a matter of fact, it's the only thing that's necessary.
Okay. Alfonso said, "Let your money work for you." That's what he put in the comments. And I totally agree with that. And when we're talking about, you know what we don't have enough of? We don't have enough. We have enough rapper. We have enough rappers. We have enough gangsters. We have enough, etc. Anything that's not even really beneficial to the black community. What we don't have enough is black men mentors for younger boys. We don't have enough of those at all. So when you're dealing with single parents that's raising younger boys and they don't know their way, they don't know how to deal with certain things. Like I can't teach my son how to be a man. I can't guide my son. I don't know what emotion he's feeling or how to deal with it. So like I try to tell people, I got 3 kids, meaning I have to adjust. I have to adjust my temperature with each child. I can't treat my daughter the way I treat my younger daughter. I can't treat my son the way I treat my girls. So I can't tell him, oh, go man up. He don't know how to do that. There's no man in the household for him to do that. So for him to not have the guidance like within the household, and I'm sure I know other people that don't have male figures in their household, not neither. What are your intake on that? I know that you had a stepdad, right? You had a stepdad, right? Your mom was married, stepdad. You went to college in 2015. You gave 90% of your podcast to Sierra Leone. Just doing a little research about you before, the podcast, doing, like self education. And you're planning on going back to Sierra Leone, right?
Right.
And you're starting a podcast over there, right? To bring
Right.
awareness over there, right?
Right.
So, like, what is it like as far as like, what do you think about? Do you agree or do you not agree that we don't have enough of black men mentors that will be there for younger boys that don't have that stern, stable guidance? Not even a father, just pretty much a father figure or male figure, I would say.
No, 100%, 100%. I feel like it's layers to it. It has to do with the mental health of the guy. It has to do with the dynamic between him and the woman in the relationship. I don't think there's ever an excuse for a man not to take care of his kids or not to be present for his children at all. Um, but I will say that me and one of my exes, we did share a dog. I am the person who got the dog for her. And when we broke up, that was my first time ever seeing what it looked like for a woman to be the primary caregiver. And I did get to see what it looked like for a man to attempt to be there. In, I know I'm talking about a dog, but you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
That was my
Your
first time.
responsibility, because a dog is like a child. You got to respond. You got to take it to the doctor. You got to,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
stimulate, not really like a
And,
child.
and that dynamic can be very different when it's one person who's in their feelings about the situation, and they're making it 10 times harder for both people to be present within that situation. So sometimes it's the dynamic of a mother being wide open for the father to be present, and sometimes it's a dynamic where the mother is not being wide open for the father to be present. And remember when I said earlier about our brothers and sisters have to have a conversation with each other, and because we don't have no community, that was the sister's opportunity for y'all to tell Megan Thee Stallion that twerking that she was doing the for the Kamala Harris thing was not the move, so that we can move forward. That was
I feel like she, and not to interrupt you, I feel like Kamala did that because she knew the audience. And she knew the audience. She knew she wasn't really dealing with the regular political type of audience. She knew what, okay, so their music, this right here, they love. Megan Thee Stallion have a big fan base. She knew that, if she twerking is a big thing in the black community, and it'll only take a little bit, like what's a fat booty with a bird brain, so not, I'm not talking about Megan Thee Stallion, so I don't need this to resurface and say that I'm, no, I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's why Kamala felt like it was like, okay, it was a great idea to have Megan to come and twerk instead of having somebody to, talk about the political things on how to help her campaign and further it when it comes down to her, But do you actually think that they're gonna put a woman over over the White House? Period.
well, to be
Joe
honest.
Biden was sick for like a day, and Kamala was like, when she was vice president, she was like, okay, she really didn't have that leeway to like show what she's really about, her greatness within her. So, soon as that little day he got sick, he was back on the scene. I don't think he like 100% recovered, clearly, because his health is still deteriorating or whatever. So, I don't. Do you ever think that they will try to put a woman, especially a black woman?
Okay, so I
Okay.
want to say two things. I want to say three things to that.
Okay.
One,
Okay.
I don't want us to give anybody any type of leeway. If
Mm-hmm.
if you're a voter and your vote counts, that means that your respect, honor, loyalty, dignity, and morals count as well. And not only just in this country have we died for that right, but everybody around the world has died for that right to believe in what they want to believe in. So, me personally, for my household, if I had a wife, she would have been outraged by the fact that that was the representation that Kamala, as herself, and with Megan, agreed to do. So
Right.
we're not going to give them any type of out.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Kamala has been representing in a political seat for a long time. So as the vice president, she can't do presidential things, but she can do vice president things and down. She's shown that she's really good at having a job and that she's good at being a figurehead. I think that there are way more qualified women to do the job, like Shirley Chisholm was way more qualified to do the job. Elizabeth Warren is way more qualified to do the job. Jill Stein is way more qualified to do the job. And the problem is that we were only left with two candidates, and neither one of them were qualified to do the job, but they were the only two candidates left. Also, the White House is not an accomplishment to me because this is a colonized land. So not only should a woman not want to be in the White House, because when a man like Donald Trump can say grab him by the, and then when he's held accountable for it at the next press conference, his excuse is that was just locker room talk. Just locker room talk.
Not the
Why would
Donald
you?
Trump impersonation.
Why would anybody want to sit in the same disgraceful seat that he sat in to represent in front of the same disgraceful people who allow that to be the excuse that he makes? If that's not male chauvinist and misogyny on the highest level that you can possibly think of, our victories are within our people. And I
I
can see how
agree.
African people can be disappointed in us by saying that we finally got a black president when all of their presidents have been black the whole time. So that means that we're dismissing their accomplishments so that we can highlight our accomplishments. So I don't want to hold the Oval Office. Somebody asked me the other day, so what do you think about what Trump is doing with the EBT stuff and with this stuff and with that stuff? I said, I don't give a damn. Trump is not my president. I'm about to have dual citizenship. My president is over there, and there's 54 presidents over there that I have conversation with. I don't have conversation with Trump. That is your president. That is what you're concerned about until you decide that you want to leave and do something for yourself.
Hmm. Somebody said Kamala wasn't doing interviews like that, and then Alfonso said that, and then Kendra said, "Kendra is your number one supporter tonight. I will tell you
Shout
that."
out to Kendra. Shout out
She
Kendra.
said, "Shout out to Kendra. She is riding this interview. I love it." What were your thoughts on Kurt?
Oh, I'm assuming she's talking about Charlie Kirk. Okay, so um, before he was assassinated, I didn't really know much about Kirk. I think that with the way the algorithms are set up, that only certain people cross people's radar. The same way that a lot of people probably before this interview here wasn't up on me before we start talking today. So I can understand uh why I'm so not knowledgeable about him and about his movement and about what he stood for. I think that it's safer for me to just focus on my people and our people and let whatever happened with they people them deal with that. The same way that I felt about when Obama had 8 graceful years in the White House, and then Trump came in that came in there acting a damn fool. It's our job as black people to shut the up and let them deal with what they decided to put in there, and us ride off into the sunset with what we had. So I feel the same way about Kirk. Their people would deal with what happened in their situation.
Yeah, Trump is on Trump since Trump got the second term and whatnot. He's been on a rampage. It's like a revenge thing, like from getting him put out the first go round. So yeah, I don't know. It's in a turmoil right now. But with that, I just want to know, like, when it comes down to you, what lessons, aside from the entertainment, what lessons are you able to give young black men when it comes down to the walk that you're walking in, the education that you're learning as that you're gaining as you're walking down this journey that you're on?
The first thing that I want to tell all black men is that you are African first. You are a man of the motherland of the continent, and that you exist and belong solely to one area of one of the 54 countries. The whole continent is your playground, but you do have a home in one of those 54 countries. And for those who are lucky, 2 or 3 homes within the 54 countries. That's the first thing. I don't ever want anybody to get it twisted to where the young black man to where they feel that effing women, getting money, pouring champagne on them, throwing their money in the air, popping bottles, that's life. That is not life. That is a distraction to the war that is going on outside on people's lives, on people who are in prison, on people who are being gunned down, on what is going on between the dynamic shift of when we see Abraham Touré, the most important African on the planet right now, the president of Burkina Faso, saying to America, you ain't about to try to bully me, and we ain't going for none of that. And now they're labeling him as a terrorist the same way that they did Muammar Gaddafi way back in the day when we fell for that. And all of those clips are coming out now of Muammar Gaddafi saying all he wanted to do was liberate his people, give them free healthcare, free schooling, and to be the best ruler that he could possibly be. And we fell for it. And that's how I know that we are waking up more now, because we are not even an ounce falling for what he's trying to do with Abraham Toure at all. And that's important for the black men to see this happen in real time. And then you also got to make a decision. So now I'm going to talk to the black men that are 18, 17, 18, 19. You have to make a decision on whether you're going to stay in America or not. If you're going to go back to the motherland, then you have to realize that you are a variant of the motherland. So you have to go there with an open mind to learn the customs, the traditions, and to understand that you do have a Eurocentric indoctrination, and to be comfortable with yourself. You are of the same blood, but you are of different tradition. So get yourself immersed in the traditions as fast as you possibly can. If you're going to stay in America, understand that you are going to be a N-word for the rest of your life to the rest of the people who live in America. That's how they're going to see you. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Terrence Crawford when he got pulled over by the police officer right after he beat Canelo, and he put a gun to his face and treated him like he just didn't win a 3-time unified champion. And that's going to happen to anybody. It's going to happen this year. It's going to happen next year. It's going to happen in 10 years. It's going to happen in 100 years. It's never going to stop. The empire of America is falling right now, crumbling to the ground. They're never going to say it, but it's crumbling. But you let me know, because every single time that you log on to TikTok, you see another person talking about, I just moved to Thailand. I just moved over here. I just moved to Colombia. I just moved to Bora Bora. I just moved to, and now you're about to start seeing it more and more and more and more and more. But you never hear people saying, I just moved to the United States. That we don't see. So they're taking a big hit, a silent hit. So if you're going to stay in America, understand that you're going to be in what used to be the American dream. You're now going to be in the you're going to be in the most unliked and most unpopular country now. But you do have to have your credit right at all times. It does not matter how much capital you have. You have to have your credit right. You ain't gonna be able to move around without being able to without having good credit. You're not gonna be able to do anything. Understand that you are a second-class citizen, because when they gave slaves freedom, they didn't do it for morality. They did it for economic stability. They said, if we put these N-words to work, then we'll make more money, and our government will be able to have more sustainability. They never liked you. They never gave you a chance. Everybody in America is not racist. Everybody is not a bad guy. But for the most part, even the people that are not racist can't help you against a system that clearly tells you that it doesn't want to help you. So this is my advice to the black men, is to understand that you're making a choice. If you're going to stay in America, understand there's a certain treatment that you're going to have from now till death. And then your kids are going to have it, and then their kids are going to have it. And it's going to follow. But understand that if you do go back to the continent, that you do have to re-immerse yourself into the culture.
Okay. And Kendra said, can you take her with her? Can you take her with you? And do you think credit was established for black people?
Now, I touched on that a little bit earlier when I said that James Oglethorpe brought the people over here because they were in debt. They were building a credit system in Europe way back when Queen Elizabeth and King James was there. That same indoctrination got brought over to the continent, and black people got caught in the crossfire due to the transatlantic slave trade. We were never supposed to be humans here. We were supposed to be cattle. We were supposed to be workforce. That's all we were supposed to be. So different presidents had different mantras. This one, if you look at 40 Acres and a Mule, for those who don't know that story, General Sherman, after the war was over, had a meeting in Savannah, Georgia with a preacher and 12 other black people. And he said, what do y'all want? And they said, we want education and we want land. And he said, okay, cool. I'll give you all that, because I have something called the Sherman Reserve, and I'll just give it to y'all. And so he did that. They called that deal 40 Acres and a Mule. And a few months later, when Abraham Lincoln did his second term, and when he got out, Andrew Johnson got into office, and he said, nigga, quit playing with me. And he snatched all of that land back from all of those black people, and he made them homeless.
Wow. And that's a and this one more thing. Why you feel like? Do you think that they're gonna impeach Trump? If not, why? Because he have
Well,
broken every rule that any president shouldn't even break, and he has done everything up on the sun. He's a criminal. Um, but at the same time, he gets to call the shots on who he gets to vindicate and who he can't vindicate. So
yeah,
how is that? How do you feel like he's just a puppet, or do you feel like he really got something on these people for them to be like, nah, he can get impeached, but we're not gonna remove him?
it's layers to that answer. One, Trump is national television. America is all about clout culture. And right now, Trump, as embarrassing as he is to the people who take politics seriously, he is to the people who take it seriously, he is a click magnet. When you see Trump said this, Trump said that, you are clicking on it. And remember that CNN, ABC, NBC, it's their job to sell commercials, just like the Super Bowl. So that's what they're doing. To them, Trump is their everyday Super Bowl. And um he's not going to get impeached because he only has a short amount of time in his second term in presidents as of right now, even though he's trying to get this changed. It's not for him. He would never get a third term. And he he's not going to get impeached because he only has a certain amount of time left in the White House. There's about to be another election coming around. And I think Kamala just poked her head out for no fucking reason, because she definitely not going to win to put her hat in the ring for presidency. And there's other powers that be, like with all of those states I just named earlier being named after those British places, they still have say so in what happens here. So in some cases, he is just a figurehead. But what I like about Trump is that his honesty is you know how sometimes you can be so honest that you tell on yourself.
Right.
So when he unsealed the files for Martin Luther King, and he unsealed the files for Epstein, all that he did was show a timeline. Okay, so when did this happen? Okay, how many presidents have there been since then? I don't know, maybe 10. Okay, so that means that all 10 of these presidents knew that this file was sealed and chose not to unseal it because they were hiding something. How do I know that? Because this nigga just unsealed it.
Right. It's a time
So,
capsule.
so that's what I mean when I say I can't be called a straight P word right to my face
Yeah.
and me just stand there and take it. Now I gotta question every other president that came because you didn't want the MLK information out.
Kendra said no, it was a timestamp on Martin.
Right there. You got to further explain what she mean by that.
He said elaborate that, Kendra. Expand that
Yeah,
comment.
expand on that.
You want to join the live, Kendra?
If she wants to, she's more than welcome.
Anybody want to join the live? Because this is a good child. This overlaps the time where I was supposed to be out, but this thing had gotten so great. Oh, she said they couldn't open his file till this year, I believe. Do you want to join the live, Kendra? I think you
Yeah,
should
she
join the
wants to.
live. Come on, come on. No, I'm cooking and doing hell. She said she cooking and doing hell. She ain't cooking and doing hell. She is how she cooking and doing hell, but she coming and that.
You know, our women are talented.
They are, but I know this one.
Okay. Okay.
But she said that they couldn't open his file till this year, I believe. You want
There
to
may
touch on
there
that?
and there may be some truth to that. I would have just appreciated for the other presidents who felt that, who knew that information, to say that that was the case.
Yeah. Alfonso said, Kendra said she can multitask. She said, I burnt
Yeah.
my croissant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she deserved it too.
Man, that is crazy. So, what are your goals when you go to Sierra Leone? What are your goals?
So one of my major goals um is to empower. there's so many people there. Like when I'm buying land, I just made a video about buying land. And one of the things that I don't like is that as soon as you try to buy some land out there, they'll tell you how much the land is. Like let's say it's $500, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll say it's $500, and then they'll ask you, okay, so go ahead and send the money. But they know that they're supposed to show you the documentation with all of the signatures of everybody who owns the land. They're supposed to talk to the town chief about the permission for you to buy the land. They're supposed to get the land surveyed so that when you choose how much land you want to buy, they can measure it out. They're supposed to get the land cleared so that that land cannot have sticks and leaves and unnecessary trees and stuff in the way. They're supposed to let you register it. They're supposed to give you the information as a citizen, as a non-citizen, as a resident. Everything that I just named is a business. Those are different business intangibles, and one person can handle that business on their own if they just go through the steps with each individual person. You can make like $2,000, $3,000 a day in a place where the monthly income is $50 a month. So if they have that access, which we don't, and they have that knowledge, which we don't, and they have the opportunity to connect people like that in places like that, which we don't, then that means that they should turn that into a business. So it's my job to hear all of that and list it for them, because they're not going to give it back to them and say, this is what you just told me. Go get that official LLC and turn the information you just gave me into a business, because you have one.
Right. So with and we're gonna have to come back for a part two, but because this is good. The next question I had wanted to ask you was when it comes down to, I'm trying to see how I'm gonna word this. When it comes down to like, okay, let's use Gucci Man. Shout out to Gucci Man, but let's use his example when they label him as schizophrenia. I think he has schizophrenia, and
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about that. When a man is operating in his emotions, usually the world or people will be like, oh, something wrong with you, you're crazy, you're emotional, just like women. Just let's just say black people. They be like, "Oh, you're crazy, you're emotional." So we're gonna slap a title on that, and that may not even be what it is. They just probably, like you said, let's revert back to what you said previously. A man just want to be heard, and so like maybe, do you feel like it's he could have a mental illness or mental disorder, or is more so of a control thing with the industry and it's getting out of hand, and they're trying to like make sure he's, like if he do act out, like with Kanye West. Let's go back to Kanye West. He act out. Anytime Kanye West have a quote unquote episode, they be like, oh, he crazy. Oh, he's having a meltdown. Oh, nurse, he's out again. But really, it's like, oh, he's speaking some truth. Like they could feed. If Trump was to give the Epstein list, the names and list on the Epstein list, and they go give it to Kanye West, and Kanye West have that list right here in front of him, and it's accurate as day, and he go on live and he be like, oh, you know what? Such and such is on this list. Such and such is on this list. They're not gonna sit there and be like, oh, you know what? Kanye knows what he's talking about. They're gonna be like, no, he's a black man, he's irate, and now he's having an episode. That's typical. Now they have pretty much normalized this thing with Kanye, like he got his mental disorder, he's bipolar, and this is because he had the episodes. But really, he has the accurate information. So, like, do you feel like when black people in the black community, we get labeled automatically with a title like a mental disorder, mental illness, and XYZ? What are your take on that?
So I was very, very, very surprised to see how open and honest Gucci and his wife were when he went on the Breakfast Club. With
Mm-hmm.
me living in Atlanta for 15 years, I've seen so many different versions of Gucci, and none of them have ever been calm. None of them have ever been, what's the word I'm looking for? Articulate. It's always been irate, overweight, out of control. version of him, but he's responsible for so many careers. The Thugs, the Wakas, the OJ, the just everybody in the Atlanta wave came under the Gucci umbrella. So to have that amount of weight on your shoulders, we are fortunate that we weren't born with a tumor on our brain or with a bodily dysfunction like some people have. And my heart goes out to those people. And we understand that when a black man goes into a school and shoots it up, he's a terrorist. When a white man goes into the school and shoots it up, he's an active shooter who is just acting out because it's a mental health crisis. We understand the difference in the labels that's going to be for the exact same thing. If a black man has a drug, he's a drug dealer. If a white man has a drug, he's a user and he needs to go to rehab. We understand the different labels that will be put on these things. So what we have to do as black people is we have to respect the fact that Gucci was so open to come out the way that he did. And we have to show his wife so much love because she showed what it looks like to not only hold a broken man down in prison. I don't recommend, ladies, I'm just saying this. I don't recommend average women holding down average men. I'm talking about a man that gives you $2 million because he can't trust nobody else. That's a different type of man.
Right.
So I'm okay with the possibility of you seeing, because I feel like that the Gucci that we seeing now is the Gucci that she saw back then and what he could be. And I'm not a potential seeker either. I don't give a damn about what an average woman sees in an average man. I care about what an extraordinary woman sees in an extraordinary man. That's what I care about.
Right.
So in his case, she wrote a handbook on the Breakfast Club on how to be a supportive, loving wife to a gangster. And that is literally what it looks like to tame a beast in a good way. Because if Gucci continued going on the trajectory he was going on, jail or dead, he already did jail. So, and with the mental health crisis that he has, that is the opportunity for our African American and just African people worldwide to hit him with the natural remedies that he needs to be able to lessen his episodes. I think that sometimes, like Kanye, when we have a cry for help, people put us in the wrong lights. The latest cry for help that we just heard, Kevin McCall.
Yeah.
That is literally a grown man, which is nothing wrong with it, doing a cry for help. And instead of people helping, they'd rather tear him down. Now, granted, Kevin McCall's energy is in the wrong place right now because he's talking about this person can't sing, this person did that person. You are not in any position to have those type of critiques about anybody, because the first thing that we need to do is level out your living situation and make sure that those two beautiful children that you got are fine, that those two baby moms that you have are taken care of, that you are stable within your situation. This industry, we don't need to worry about that right now. We need to worry about leveling out this. But what he's doing is also a prime example of what I was saying about a broken system and what happens when you don't leave. Because what would have happened if he would have took all of his money that he got from Strip and he would have bought him the same size house that Bootsy got in Atlanta in Sierra Leone for half the price?
It would have been in debt.
Now his baby moms have a castle that they can go back to, and they don't even care whether he takes on a third, fourth, or fifth because it's enough room for it. And now he's in a land where he doesn't have to compete with the crabs in a barrel because he'll never be bigger than Chris Brown here. But he can represent for where he comes from and doing what he's doing, how he's doing it. Without perfect alignment, you can't maneuver. And we're seeing that happen in real time. So that answers that right there of what we need to do when we see our men who have a cry for help and who have a mental health crisis in real time.
What about okay, so when okay, let's talk about well, it's already 10:09.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm listening.
All right, with the relationships with women and men being in relationships and trying to keep that household grounded in a stable two parent or two person or two income home. How do men expect for women to give them peace when they are at war with themselves and the men not making sure that they have peace? Hush, Alfonso, go to bed. You talking about some lie, don't have a time limit. They loving this.
Now I appreciate them for being tuned in, and I appreciate them. And my answer to that is black women, I love y'all. I love y'all. So please don't get hurt by nothing I'm about to say. I love y'all. So
Gotta stay.
I personally believe that women are smarter than men, personally. And I feel like that women are more creative than men. And I figured this out the first time that I wrote a note to a girl in school, and my handwriting looked like, and she was able to put a heart on top of her eye. She was able to underline stuff. She pretty much created a whole Picasso out of just a note. And I didn't even know how to spell my name correctly and keep it on the line. So I've been very impressed with the intellect of women, and especially our black women, for a long time. But the problem is that they use their intellect in the wrong direction. So every time that you hear a black woman say something told me, you know that it's about to be some negativity that comes after that. Something that she did to violate somebody else, whether it's flattening their tire, burning their clothes, going through their phone, just something that is negative. And I feel like that our black women have to hit the reset button on themselves, but that doesn't exist until they acknowledge them being a variant of the continent. Because you're not just a black woman, you're an Ethiopian woman, you're a Kenyan woman, you're a South African woman. You're something that belongs over there, but you're operating here without knowing what's over there. So if you don't know you from over there and you're just operating here, you have to try to figure out a system to fit into. So whose system are you going to try to fit into? The European one. So now you're a black woman being European with European standard. And with I was just telling my homegirl this earlier, when Kim Kardashian, because this right here used to be the standard of beauty in America, this shape right here. It wasn't until Kim Kardashian dropped the sex tape with Ray J when people started being like, yo, curves is, but she not even the proper representation because her curves ain't even real. But we've always had a motherland where the best curves in the entire world come from.
Right.
And the variant of those same curvy women got brought over here during the slave trade. And what's so powerful about our women is that an old white man named Jonathan with overalls chewing tobacco would walk through his plantation with a whole wife and kids in the house and still pick that black woman that is in his field doing his work for him because she is the most beautiful woman in the entire world. But the only one who doesn't know that is her. So I can't treat a woman like a queen until you can tell me what kingdom you come from.
Mm. Heard that, Kim? So you have dropped a lot of jewels tonight, and we're gonna have to definitely do a part two. Do you want to do the part two?
That's up to you. It don't matter to me.
Okay. Okay, Alfonso to my some real ish. So we definitely, because I know I took so much time from you, but if we got lost in the conversation, you was really like dropping a lot of gems on us, and you really shifted the conversation to a deeper aspect, and I hope a lot of people, we talking about a part three. This part one. We talking about some part three. Let's go. This is part one still, but yeah. So with that, this is my last and final question, and I'm gonna alleviate you from this call, from this live. with that being being amongst the entertainment business and living reality day to day or whatever. Um, Give me the pros and cons for both of. Thank you, my Vaughn. She said very good and enjoyable. Give me both views of your experience, the pros and cons. What is your pros and cons on the views?
On being in the industry and just living day to day life.
Mentally, like how you when you, because you seem like you're very observant, so like what is your, when you analyze everybody, when it comes down to like, oh, okay, this person think this way, or that person think that way, or like that type of analytical data, like how do you be like, how do you make your decision on, I want to work with this person, I don't want to work with this person, or this is good business, because all money ain't good money. Good,
Yeah.
you don't want to represent the wrong thing, and just because, oh, this contract look good, but it's like, okay, this maybe the guy behind it may have foul intentions, or because of the way he think, the way he move, but contractually it looks good for something that probably could like help you supersede in life or exceed in life.
Right. Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. This is gonna be a very unorthodox answer, but I'm gonna say if Tupac was alive still, or if I was born during Tupac's timeline, we would have been really good friends.
I believe that. I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. I really believe that. It would be a good debate. I would watch that. I would really watch that.
Yeah, I think that Tupac was a person who was influenced by whatever surrounding he was. When he was in art school in Baltimore, he was an art person. When he was banging in LA, he was banging. When he was a rapper on Death Row, he was rapping. When it was time for him to have his Dear Mama and changes, that's what it was. When it was hit him up, that's what it was. When it was time to go to prison, that's what it was. So I think that Tupac was the first person in hip hop to be so authentically giving his heart and soul to his craft that to this day it still resonates with everybody in the world. And the thing about him is that he believed a lot of the same stuff that I believed. And the difference between me and the other people he had around him was that I would be willing to talk to him and say, yeah, Pac, I'm from the same streets that you from, but I'm not a gangster. I don't have that rag. I don't feel that I need that rag to validate me, and neither do you. If you want to take these millions that you have, it's because it sounds weird for you to say, we some fucking millionaires over here, and then get into another interview and say, y'all building churches, there's homeless people out here. Well, you just called yourself a millionaire in the last song. So what power do you really have if they can build a church where you saying that they should be helping homeless people, but you have the millions? So now you accidentally telling on yourself when your power is over there. And if you would have took that power over there when you had the opportunity to, how it ended over here would have never even existed.
So
Martin.
you think the feud with Biggie and him was what, it was a real feud because of the industry, or it was like a genuine feud, like, hey, it's a competition type thing, if you choose, because I felt like they could have been best friends. I felt like it would have worked.
It's a mixture of both. I feel like that the the allure. Sometimes you can have people hype you up and get you into a situation. Kind of like when you at the club with your homegirls and y'all just chilling, and then Get It
Mhm.
Sexy come on, and then all of a sudden your friends all start doing that clap together, and then somebody put the camera on you, and now you done got hyped up to do a twerk that you probably would have never done in a different circumstance, especially if you got some liquor and some weed in your system. So it's kind of the same thing with the Tupac and the Biggie thing. I don't think that Biggie fed into the theme, but around the time when Pac was banging, that was like the origin of gang banging in LA around the same time. So he felt that not only did he have something to prove to Death Row, but also to the streets, in the music, to his family, etc., etc. Because it was a hard split. Either you here or you here, and we see this happen all the time. I look at the modern day Tupac and Biggie as Kevin Hart
Cat Williams.
and Cat Williams. Two of my favorites. Two of my absolute favorites. Love them to death. But like I said, with me being the person that I am, I'm probably the only person in the world that could get them on the phone, that could get them sitting down and talking to each other, because I love both of them equally. But when you coming from this side or coming from this side, it's not gonna happen like that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So felt the same way about X and Martin. I would have probably been one of the only people that can make this phone call happen and let them know.
Why do you feel like that? Why do you feel like you hold that much power? What makes you different from any other black man that could have said, "Oh, I'm black too"? What makes him different? "Oh, I'm black and educated too," or "I'm black and I know this amount of knowledge." Or whatever. So how are you any different from any black man that could have, should have, would have, if it would have happened or could have happened?
Because I think that if anybody else would have done it, that they would have done it for the satisfaction of knowing that they were the person who done it, to promote that they were the person who done it. Whereas I feel that I can't sleep at night knowing that I didn't do anything about it. And it's gonna weigh on me so heavily that I'ma feel like that it's my job or my responsibility, or maybe they're feuding because I haven't said anything.
Okay, so let's go a little deeper in it because
Hmm.
I was gonna go ahead and end this live, but you said it was just okay. So with that being said, in today's world, why don't you know that we lack guidance for men that could guide the young boys or start a mentorship group or whatever the case may be. Why not be the leader to start that type of group to get a lot of men that push Alfonso to get a lot of men to come together and be like, hey, we got enough rappers, we got enough gangsters, we got enough X, Y, and Z that could affect it, that could negatively impact the younger generation of men, younger boys that's growing up. Why don't we get together as men and start this mentorship group? Because that's not, we don't have that. We don't have that at all. So
So
why
what I'm
don't you take the initiative to start a leadership group for that? Since you can, if you have that power and that ability, if Biggie and Tupac was alive today, and you have that power and you have that confidence enough to know, because we would never know because neither is here. But right now, we know that you're here. We know that the guys are not their guys are not coming together and be like, okay, I see a single mom. Let me go show this single mom young son how to put a tie on correctly, or become a leader, or understand the color of how hard it is to be a black man, or the what is the stereotype was like, oh, when people be like, oh, now you the man, be strong. You're not allowed to feel emotions. You're not allowed to be this person. You're not allowed, because emotions make you look weak. Emotions take away the fact that you're not a leader, or you're not a man. So you're not allowed to do that. You're only allowed to do that when you're by yourself and in silence. So why not do that, opposed to like what you could have done with Biggie and Tupac with the people that's no longer here? And Kendra said we need you to be active in the little community as well.
so what I that's funny because I was in the movie Little, so that's funny. Um, so what I'm gonna say to that is that it's all a timeline. I have to let people know how serious I am by using the Biggie, Tupac, Martin, and Malcolm example, because those are four monumental deaths that will haunt our community forever, that we will never forget about. And I feel like that once I found my deeper purpose, once I went from just being this to turning into this, that my entire platform is that exact group that you guys are talking about. Shout out to Dr. Kirk and shout out to Dr. Cynthia. I graduate from Dr. Cynthia's mental health program in a couple of days, and I win my next award. So that'd be award number 8 or 9, one of the two. And Dr. Kurt has a group where every other week they go and do a boxing workout, and then they talk about mental health right after. Boxing is my favorite type of workout. So I'm going to be joining the class, and they also have a mentor group that they do as well, weekly and bi-weekly, aside from that as well, for the women and for the men, separately and together. So there's a few of them that exist, but I'm with you. I want to hold the world accountable. I want to see Dr. Bryant continue to ascend and do her thing and make sure that the world is mentally well, along with Oprah, along with the other people who are high held in regard in the mental health space. I think that all of us have a lane, even though I think that I would have been able to get Martin and Malcolm and even Marcus Garvey and even Booker T and Du Bois and all of them to be on the same page enough to where we didn't bash each other in front of the white media. That doesn't mean that everything that I'm doing, that they will be aligned with it. They still got to do it how they see fit, and I got to do it how I see fit. But we just don't need to tear each other down to do our individual goals, especially when we're trying to get to the same place and lead the same people. And I see that modern day now with 19 Keys and with Smart, because we are the modern day Malcolm and Martin and Gandhi and Muhammad. We are them in 2025. And then when I'm not here no more in 2090, there's going to be another one that comes and revolutionizes. But he's not going to have to do the footwork that I'm doing from America. All he's going to have to do is build off of the bricks and the cement that I left for him in Sierra Leone and in the other 53 countries. And he gets to build off of that. Luckily. Lucky him.
So but that's the thing though. Like when you say that, like it's like okay, you don't you know like there's very few of them. But I didn't know the information. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know the information in regards to who you just said about having the mentor group and this. And I'm not targeting me. I'm just speaking for women that are like in that dynamic of like okay, cool. We Alfonso want to know the information on how to get in connected with the people about the mental
Follow
health
him
and
now.
stuff.
Okay. Bet.
And when you know when you say like you're not sure if they're gonna because they're gonna have their own role, but I mean at the end of the day, like if you was confident with the you were confident with the okay, I know I can sit them down and they'll be able to talk. But like that when you take the initiative of being this person that pride himself on being a strong black man and being confident with whom and knowing who he is, yeah, no, you can't do anything. You can't make everybody jump on the same ship that you're on. However, you can be the example for it, like start that mentorship group for younger boys because the only thing that's raising them is the toxic lyrics. That's the only thing that's raising them and what they see, their environment and stuff like that. So when they have, I feel like when they have like a structure and they have something to do and they feel important, like a lot of them just lost. Like a lot of them, he say, she say, their environments, what they're exposed to, or whatever it may be. Most of the time is, the lyrics, like Alfonso, social media raising everybody right now, which is true. So and that's crazy because it's like, yeah, Tupac and Biggie, they probably Malcolm and Martin could have, you probably could have sat them down. However, they all took the initiative to become leaders in some type of way. So with you like, oh, I could just talk about it and let people know, but at the same time, why not be not only a person that talk about it, but be of action. Be of action. All of we know about Tupac and all of them because they took the initiative. And I understand if one person, I promise you, if one man, or if the world see like one man changing the dynamics, not only everybody ain't gonna go to everybody is not open to going to Sierra Leone.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is not able to. Everybody won't be able to afford going over there, or or still in their mindset, still stuck in their mindset. Like, okay, let me just pack up and just go over there. because they still have to they still have to learn the background, they still have to learn their culture. It's gonna take, years. Like it takes years to get rid of something toxic mentally. Like I have to learn how to, okay, this is not, I normalize this toxic behavior, the way that I think, da 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 da. So it's gonna take me a while for me to detox from that. And so it seems like you want everybody to go, and I get it. Now, I'm all for it. But, what about the people that can't go over there? Or is it like mentally strong enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna pack this up and step out of fear and go off of faith and go over there? So what about starting the group now and then everything else fall in place?
Got you. I hear exactly what you're saying, and I'm gonna be honest with you. That's just not for me.
Okay.
The only thing that's for me is for the people who are sold to the mission. And
Okay.
to me, the mission is not necessarily getting everybody to move back, because we don't want everybody. If Megan wants to come, I don't want her to come. If Sexy wants to, I don't want her to come,
Because
because
it's
there
not
are,
good.
yes, and there are tribe leaders that will put their foot in my, if people like them end up over there with the same that they own here.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're trying to avoid going back there is that exact thing, because every time that they do that, they're not representations of themselves, because they don't exist
Mm-hmm.
without Sheba
Mm-hmm.
and Nefertiti. They don't exist without them. So they are the modern day representation for that, and they are of the highest level in popularity and clout,
Mm-hmm.
representing it wrong. I just seen an interview with Cardi B when she said, "When they go low, I take it to hell." So that means that she's telling everybody in real time, outside of her saying that she used to strip and take men into hotel rooms and drug them and rob them, which is right on the internet if you pull it up.
I've saw that. I saw that movie before.
And this is still the same person that Kamala Harris had to deliver a speech right after she had Megan Thee Stallion twerking. So the only reason that I can't do that here is because here is already tarnished. And for the people who want to be a part of the message, they will find it. And what you're saying right now is literally the reason why Muslims and that religion was invented, was for that right path from the beginning. How to be a young boy, how to be a teenager, how to be a man, how to be a husband, how to show up. And then on the woman's side, how to be a wife, how to be a young lady, how to be, and they give you that guidance your whole life. That's what organized religion is for. That's why people kill to be Jews, and then they kill to be Roman Israelites. And then that's why they hold it so near and dear to their heart, because it's not just a religion, it's a way of life. So I'm going to talk to both groups. For the people who want to leave, do your due diligence and know that you can lend energy from me at any time. But if your heart is saying that it is no longer in this place that you've never been invited to in the first place, then I feel for you, and it's time for us to go together. For the people who can't leave and for the people who won't leave, understand that what you're witnessing is that you are now seeing that people are confessing with their tongue that there is one motherland, and that if you are not a part of what is happening moving forward, that it is a choice, and that it is not a victim of circumstance, because you are the same person who lived through mass incarceration, war on drugs, lynching, police shooting, EBT, Section 8, segregation, etc., etc. All of that in one lifetime. And if the one thing that you find scary is a plane for you to go to freedom after all of that, then I don't really have anything else left to say to that person except for enjoy. Enjoy it the same way that you've been enjoying it all these years. And keep making that white man named Billy to go on vacation with his family, because that's what he's doing right now with your tax dollars.
All right, and there you have it. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna come back for our part two. We'll discuss that on the sidelines. I want to thank you so much. Hold on. They needed to be loved and a part of a family, and the thing was no longer possible for them. Kendra said that.
I think she's talking about Tupac and Biggie. Yeah. Yeah.
She's so Yeah. We're gonna come back for our part two, you guys. I thank you so much for kicking it with Yama, and thank you so much for being my guest of the night. And I really liked it. It was a really great conversation because we started at 8:30 Eastern time, in case somebody was on the opposite time zone, and we're finishing up at 10 something, 10:35 exactly. So this was a great conversation. I really thank you so much, Vigilant, for coming and really dropping some gems. Like I said, we're gonna discuss part two because we gotta keep it going. We gotta keep it going. We gotta keep the message going out there. We gotta keep the knowledge, expanding and just doing what we do, we're doing what we do. I know Kendra want to see you more on the screen. Alfonso, he's really supporting you, and he told us I'm ready to use my passport.
Let's do it.
I'm
Let's do
ready.
it. Let's do it.
He's ready. So, I thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you. Congratulations to you on the cover of the magazine at Honey Boss Magazine Party. It was great interacting with you, and it was a blessing to witness your accomplishment. And I hope to see many more. And I wish you the best. But we're gonna send it. We're gonna talk about part two. Thank you guys for kicking it with Yama and coming through. And I'll hit you up when I get settled. How do we get a mag? He said, "How do we get a mag?"
I don't know what a mag is. You want?
Elaborate, Sandra.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you two minutes to
A
to.
magazine.
Oh, a magazine. Oh, okay. You go to magazine. Got you. You go to Honey Boss Instagram, Honey Boss Magazine Instagram, and I'm sure they have the link in their bio.
We didn't know that, Kendra. We didn't know. Like we didn't know. We just about some duh. I didn't think about it. It didn't dawn on me. But yeah. So you got it, Kendra. Honeybossmagazine.com.
Honey Boss Magazine.
Honey Boss Magazine, where
Hmm.
you'll be able to get that. So
Yes.
thank you guys. I'm gonna go ahead. I gotta go and get my baby. Thank you so much. And we're gonna discuss part two. So y'all will be seeing him again. Y'all will be seeing him again. And I really truly appreciate it. Thanks. I'll be on the next live. Okay, Kendra, that's fine. So and I really appreciate you guys for kicking it with Yama. And that concludes tonight's episode. Bye.